All right, it's a different kind of vlog today, you guys. I think I need to do a little talk at the end of this. I'll do a little talk on tattoos and my journey with my thought process on tattoos, how the ego is involved with tattoos, but also how tattoos can be part of your spiritual path. But right now, I'm going to take you along to actually get my first artwork piece of a tattoo. So, thus far, I pretty much have words, I have knowledge and experience. We're all just walking each other home. And then I'll insert a picture right here on my back. I have a crescent moon, which was my first ever tattoo. And then I have the quote, "No matter how hard the past, you can always begin again," which has been inspired by my parents and their lives, which are pretty friggin' insane. Really, all of these tattoos I all got at the age of 18. So it was like during my rebellious phase. I'm 25 now, and I'm getting my actual first piece of artwork. I've been so held back from getting an actual full-on piece because I've always been in a place where I'm like, oh, I need to hide my tattoos. Does this make me a bad or like a rebellious person? All the things. And I'm actually getting a piece on my hand, and it is extra special because it is my amazing friend Tiffany. You met her in past vlogs. She's my acupuncturist, she's my healer, she's one of my best friends, my soul sisters, and she is really good friends with a gal named Erika. And Erika I'm gonna meet her for the first time. She's based out of Portland, I believe, but she's coming down to San Diego for a few days. And so I booked an appointment with her, and I've been kind of telling her what I want and the inspiration, but I haven't even actually seen the tattoo. I don't even know what it looks like. I have an idea of what it could look like, but this is huge because I've never done this before, and it's gonna be on my freaking left hand full on. And what I love about Erika and from the work that I have seen on her Instagram and sites is that it's very henna inspired. She actually began and started out as a henna artist. She even did an amazing documentary, which I'll link below. It's an amazing way to support her work and the education she's spreading on the art of henna, but she has a lot of henna inspired tattoo work now she does. It's just so near and dear to my soul being from India. So that is also going to be a big inspiration of the art that she is tattooing on my hand, which I still have not seen yet. So let's go to the tattoo shop. Okay, so like 5 hours later, I'm back home. My hand is wrapped up, but I'm gonna include some clips that we took of the past few hours and the stenciling and the tattooing and just me kicking back. I definitely have a high pain tolerance, but when she did the shading, which was definitely amazing, but I was like, ooh, yeah, these are hitting some nerves, but I'm really happy with it. It's so beautiful. It just feels so special. It was so cool to just give the artist freedom to like design what she had. Dude, just like burp. It was so cool to just let her use her creativity to create this piece of art, but also have it lotus inspired and henna inspired. It feels so near and dear to my roots. Oh, I love it. All right, guys, it is 2 days later. My tattoo is healing up. I keep falling more and more in love with this piece. I feel like I'm just gonna keep getting more and more connected to this tattoo, just like I have with all of my other tattoos. But right now, I actually wanna go into, we could call it the psychology of tattoos, or even a little bit of the spirituality behind our desire to get tattoos and what tattoos represent. I wanna start off by saying nothing in this life is good or bad. And obviously, depending on your beliefs, your morals, and your experiences in life, you can have a judgment as far as what is good or bad. But each of those things is really decided based on our patterning and our experiences in this lifetime. So with tattoos, some people, some families, some cultures feel that tattoos are absolutely horrible and bad, and they represent rebellion, they represent bad things. And then other cultures may look more upon it, and especially in open countries or states or cities where people are more encouraged to express themselves, then tattoos are even more welcome and can even be conversation starters. So what do tattoos represent? If we take this back to our roots, a tattoo can actually represent a culture. But if you look at the root word of culture, it's actually cult. And so a cult is really something that you're a part of, where perhaps all of you guys are following the same belief system. And this doesn't necessarily have to mean religion. It can mean having the same morals. It can mean having the same values. Maybe that means liking the same things or disliking the same things. And that's where these days it could be interpreted as like maybe a gang or being a part of a group that is maybe hated or loved. And we all have our own judgments and what we're comfortable with based on our beliefs and values. So tattoos can represent a lot of culture. They can represent being a part of something, so being a part of a tribe. Tattoos can also be a means for celebration or ritual, or even like a rite of passage. So we do that even now, but especially back in the day, our ancestors used things like tattoos or piercings, but especially like a tattoo is a commitment. It's literal ink. It is painful. It is something that you're carrying with you lifelong. So it is a deep ritual. I have a friend who went through a vision quest and he got this huge tattoo right here, and it was almost his rite of passage to sit in that stillness. And it was like an initiation by just getting that full tattoo and just sitting there. I mean, the experience of getting a tattoo alone is so impactful, let alone carrying that tattoo with you forever. So it's a beautiful ritual, and it can symbolize so much more than the actual piece that you're getting on yourself. Of course, tattoos can also be a means for decorating yourself. This was definitely more of a decorative piece, and it was something that I was like, actually, I want to get this just because it's so elegant, and it's a way that I could actually decorate and express myself in this way. That brings us to the other big thing that tattoos represent, is our self-expression. Now, I'm going to bring in a little bit of the psychology piece, because there can be a lot of ego involved in tattoos, and the ego is not necessarily bad. We say it's a bad thing, but it can be there to protect ourselves, right? And so the ego can instill something in us to either get a tattoo or to not get a tattoo. And so for many people, they might actually choose to not get a tattoo because their ego is kind of creating some judgment. And maybe that same ego is having someone get a tattoo because it's a different type of judgment where it's a wanting to fit in. So like I mentioned, I actually got all of my tattoos except for this one now at age 25. The tattoos I have on my back, on my wrists, and on my leg, they are all from age 18. And when I was 18, I was really in a rebellious phase, and I wanted to kind of fit in, and I had friends getting tattoos, and I was really wanting to be spontaneous and independent. And I also was like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna be like a deeper person. I was just exploring the path of spirituality, and so a lot of the tattoos and quotes I got were a means for expressing those messages that were coming through me. So our ego can definitely get in the way. Now, I want to share some conversations I've had with people to put it out there, because there's so many different things that the ego can kind of judge us for. And so one of the things that I've heard a lot is, oh, I want to wait until I'm really successful until I get a tattoo, because then no one can say anything. But that itself is really interesting, right? Because it's like we're waiting to be successful, to be at a certain point where we don't have to keep maybe proving ourselves. And so we can get a tattoo without maybe having someone judge us. And so that itself, right, is kind of like the ego saying, you're not good enough, you haven't proved yourself enough, and so you need to wait until this point. And that was me. I literally had gotten these like little tattoos. Most of the tattoos I had had before are all pretty hidden. They're pretty low key. And so this was a big statement for me because it was my way of saying like, I actually am fully at peace with myself. I'm complete. I don't need to prove myself anymore. I don't need to be good enough, or I don't need to be successful enough, or I don't need to be a certain enough in order for me to have a tattoo and just be me. I can actually walk out in the world and do and wear and just come as I am, come as we are, and just be and feel complete in that way. And so I just share that conversation because that was me. I was literally like, I want to wait until I'm successful enough to get all the tattoos I want. Another thing that comes into the mix where ego can get in the way of tattoos and decisions is wanting to stand out or be unique. And so, of course, tattoos make people stand out. It's a form of art. It is something that can grab attention. It can be something that maybe sets you apart from just everyone standing around you, because we can obviously choose our own pieces. And so this is where it's important to realize like you are unique and beautiful and amazing just the way you are. As corny as that sounds, it's like you are literally so unique, and you just being you is enough. However, this is where like the ego isn't a bad thing. Like we are all walking this path of life, and we go through our ebbs and flows, and we're going through this journey of expanding our conscious awareness. And if that means getting a tattoo, you are living with that commitment of getting a tattoo. So that will be part of your process. And this is where I say like nothing is right or wrong. All the tattoos I got when I was 18, I don't regret them at all. Maybe if at all, I was like, wow, I wish I had the balls to get something a little bit more daring, a little bit more artistic, because I was playing it low key. I didn't feel like I was enough yet to get something so ballsy. So I was getting, again, like really low key tattoos. But if at all, you could either take what I'm saying as a form of like, oh, maybe I don't need a tattoo just because, you know, I'm trying to stand out, or I'm trying to fit in, or I'm trying to look a certain way or feel a certain way. But you can also take it to the other extreme, and maybe you get a whole sleeve. I don't know. And maybe that's just you fully feeling like you and expressing yourself in that way. So this is really just a means of acceptance and realizing like whatever decision you're making, especially if you're getting a tattoo, that is something you're living with, and that is now a part of you, and it's a part of your story. And whether the ego drove you to get that tattoo or not, it is a part of your story, and it's all beautiful exactly how it is meant to be. So I just want to leave you off with a few things as far as just what to remember, and maybe things to think about and things to meditate about as you make a decision, or maybe you already have tattoos and it's something that you are just coming more at peace with yourself, because maybe it's a tattoo you got at a different stage of life when you had a different consciousness and maybe a little bit more ego involved, or maybe just different things playing into why you got the tattoos. I mean, that's part of my story. I look back at the times that I had gotten these tattoos and I'm like, what was my thought process back then? But it's just kind of like fun, and in a loving way. I remember my past 18-year-old self getting these tattoos and just trying to like honestly scream at the world to be seen, you know, and like realizing now at this age, like, and I'm still in that process, but realizing like, oh, my love, you are seen, you are loved, like you are amazing the way you are, but you are free to express yourself. And if people judge you for that, that's okay, because that is just a mirror and reflection of themselves and the judgments they carry, you know, against their self. So a few things to leave you off with. First of all, remember that you have nothing to prove to anybody. If a tattoo is something you want, then have it be something that you are feeling super celebratory about and you're feeling excited about. The entire process, from like connecting with the artist to investing the money into it, to the healing process, to the actual tattooing, like everything, make it something that is joyous. And I always say this with everything in life, whether it is eating or whether it is movement. And that brings me to the second thing, is make it a celebration. Make it something that is feeling so celebratory, whether that is something that you're even grieving and maybe the tattoo you're getting is a tribute to that thing. Maybe it is something that is celebrating a milestone in your life, or a person, or a pet, or an animal, or an epiphany, or a message that you're trying to bring forth. Make everything a celebration and feel so good about it. The other thing is that really believe in like the divine working in all forms. If this is something that is meant for you, just put the message out and it'll come to you. So even the way that I found Erika, who did this tattoo, it was so divine. I knew I wanted more art, and especially a half sleeve, which I think this is what this will turn out to be eventually. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just honestly meditating and conceptualizing that I did this still. It shouldn't feel forced. If you are feeling like you want something, I promise you just putting it out into the universe saying like, I want a sleeve, or I want this kind of art, or I'm looking for this kind of artist, or maybe you don't even know what you want, but you know you want something. And so that will just come to you maybe in a meditation or while you're going on a walk. So all of these things just work so divinely. And again, it's part of your beautiful story that you're writing. So just trust in that process. And if tattoos are a way that you are expressing and carrying out your story in the world, then take that as it comes. The last thing that I want to leave you off with is kind of a question or a message. And this can bring up so much, but I'll talk about it specifically in the sense of tattoos. This body, right? It's a vessel. You can say it's a vessel of the universe. It's a vessel of God. I'm going to use the word God in this context because that's something I've been resonating with in these past few months. And so once I started to really view this body as a vessel of God, I started to detach my actual identity with my body. And it's still something that I'm working through, especially ever since this ACL tear, knee injury. It's been something I've been getting deeper and deeper into because I realized how attached I was to my body, to my aesthetics, to what my body could physically perform. And so as I actually peel off the layers and detach more from this physical body, I can actually view this vessel or this body as a vessel of God. And so the question I want to leave you with last is asking yourself, like, how can I treat and use this body as a vessel of God? Maybe that means self-expressing in a way that certain people will connect with you. So of course, like when you have a tattoo, that is actually a statement, and it probably might attract certain people who are more open to that and who are looking and seeking for more openness. And so maybe you're attracting more of those people. And so that's what I mean when I say you using your body as like a avenue to carry out your higher purpose. You can detach from that. That doesn't mean like just disrespect your body. It actually means quite the opposite. It means like respecting your body, nourishing it with the best foods, moving it in a way that is so rhythmic and in harmony with nature, and maybe decorating it in a way that feels good for you. Again, realizing like you have nothing to prove and staying true to yourself. And so when you allow your identity to release from your body, you're no longer feeling like you have to be good enough or you have to look a certain way. And you can just allow yourself to walk this life and however and whatever comes. And maybe that means you had already made a decision in the past, whether it is plastic surgery, whether it's a tattoo, whether it is some kind of more permanent change to your body that you did, and that is part of your story now. And this is where the spirituality really intertwines with the psychology of it. Just meditating on that. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on tattoos, maybe hear about what kind of tattoos you guys have or your tattoo stories, your evolution, your thought process, and what comes up for you, because I think this is such a beautiful thing to explore. It's something that I'm becoming more and more at peace with, because I was definitely that person who maybe judged others, but it was honestly because I was judging myself so much. And so as I open up this avenue, I'm able to be so much more open to every other being around me in this life. All right, guys, that wraps up this video. My name is Sucha. I go by primal.yogi on Instagram. I am so happy that you are tuning in. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and a subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.